All right, guys, please take your cameras off and put your mics on mute if they're not already, and I will let you guys in for camera and video and audio towards the end when we do a Q&A. But welcome to the Next Level by Association Virtual. Guys, we have one of our all-time favorites on today. Frank Shankwitz. If you don't know Frank, you know a lot of the things he's done. One is being the co-creator and co-founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, but he's also got a movie out called Wishman. I mean, the guy is just, he's the real deal. I mean, it's rare that you ever see him without a cowboy hat, which is kind of fun. And, but the fun thing is when he's alive with people, it seems like everyone, especially the women, asks to wear his hat. And so he's always letting them wear their hat. And I go, I know where Frank is. He's right there in the mix of it. So guys, Frank Shankwitz has been a good friend for many, many years. He has been a mentor. He's been a colleague, and he's been a Next Level by Association family member for several years. And so we can't wait to hear more about what he's going on. In the last 5 or 6 years, he has been on the road like nonstop and just crushing it out there. He's got, I think, 2 doctorates. He's got a movie made. The guy has just gotten awards after award, and well deserved. So with that being said, Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob. Great intro. Could you keep going a little bit? It's kind of fun.
I hear you. You have just done so much, and it's been so great. I remember the first time I met you was at Secret Knock with Greg Reed, and I remember just hearing your story and thinking, and man, to see what's happened since that time and how it's blown up, and this movie. So let's start with this movie, Wishman. I mean, dude, a movie gets made about you, and I was blown away. What does that feel like when you first see the first time you saw the movie? What did it feel like?
Well, I was obviously involved from the very beginning, the very idea of the whole thing. And you mentioned Greg Reed, and Greg Reed is the owner of Triple Three Films. And I was speaking at an event. You may have been there at Secret Knock, and it was Stickability that he was doing a documentary on. And he had me as one of the speakers on the stage, and I did my usual presentation. And then he came up to me afterwards and said, "What is your wish?" And I said, "Well, nobody's ever asked me that. It's never about me, it's about the children." He said, "Well, do you want a Lamborghini? Do you want a fancy vacation? Do you want this or that?" And I said, "Well, no, but I'd kind of like to have my story told so that my kids or grandkids knew that Dad did something kind of neat back in his time." And then right after that presentation, Theo Davies, who was the director and producer of that Stickability documentary, came up to me and said, "I've never seen an audience reaction like that in my life after you were done speaking, and I want to do a movie about you." And I said, "No, you don't." He said, "Yes, we do." And I thought a documentary. He said, "No, a full feature film." Now, this was very flattering. It was embarrassing. I mean, it's just something I never thought about my whole life. But I said, before we do this, we'll have a contract, obviously, but I want complete script approval because I know how Hollywood embellishes things.
Sure.
And we worked it out, and Theo Davies ended up being the director for the movie, but also wrote the screenplay, and a knockout screenplay, obviously, with all the awards we've gotten. But it took 2.5 years for him to write that screenplay as me with the advisor, because going back and forth, no, that's embellished too much. Okay, I'll give in a little bit on this. And what a job Theo did in knocking out this screenplay.
Yeah, I tell you, did a great job. I've seen the movie twice now, once in the theater and once at home, and amazing. Knowing the background of the story was really cool to just know that. But actually, I'm going to show a preview of the movie right now. So let's just go ahead and do that. Wow. Wow. Does that ever, somebody needs to mute their lines. I'm not sure what's up. Let's see. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. Not sure why that's happening, but we're going to get rid of that. Huh. It's not supposed to, sorry about that. Not sure why that happened. You guys, it's weird. I'm looking at completely different than it's showing up. Well, guys, let's see if this is, I can see you, Frank, and
I've got you.
Yeah, it's just weird that that happened. I've never seen that happen before.
What happened, Bob? I didn't.
I'm not sure. It just started playing another video, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, because I had no sound, no audio on my end when you were showing.
No audio, huh? Okay. Well, we got rid of it, so we're back. We're good. But you know, Frank, does it ever get? How many times have you seen that movie now?
Well, why did I say over 100? I'm not exaggerating because of the private screenings. But you originally asked me what I thought about when I saw it on the big screen, which was actually in the Hollywood premiere. Now, while we had seen it on TV, we'd seen it in little private theaters, you know, during the editing, the whole process. But I had never seen the finished movie, a complete finished edited, until we had the big Hollywood premiere on the big screen with the sound.
Oh, that's so low.
And it was everything that
He's
people
saying the movie
looking for in a reaction from an audience he got during that big audience. It was over almost 1,000 people in that theater.
Wow.
For the laughter when he looked for the sobs, the crying, looking for the Kleenex coming out. But then the reaction afterwards, the standing ovation, and then we had almost a 2-hour Q&A following that. So everything that he was looking for, what I was hoping for, the producers are hoping for, all came together.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the main thing that you want people to take out of that movie and out of your life? If there was one thing, what would it be?
Well, the theme of the movie, the takeaway from it is everyone can be a hero. When someone needs help, help them. And again, going a little bit, you don't have to have money to help somebody. Just help them with your time. As simple as that. And that's the whole basis of the movie from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. So anyone can be a hero. But why do you think people have a hard time believing that they can actually be a hero?
Well, a lot of times people think, again, like I said, you have to have money to make a big donation to somebody. And it was just pointed out in the movie in my very young years, very poor. I had a mentor at 10 years old, this little town of Seligman, Arizona, that we lived in, working full time as dishwasher at 10 years old. And the poor people were helping me and my mother. And one day, this Juan Delgadillo, who's featured in the movie, one of the true only names in the movie, said, "Frank, when you can, give back." I said, "What do you mean, Juan, give back? We don't have anything. The poor people are helping us, bringing us beans and tortillas." And he said, "You don't have to have money to give back." And he gave an example. Look at Mrs. Sanchez. She's always bringing your mom beans and tortillas to help you out. But look at her front yard, the widow Sanchez. It's a mess. It's full of weeds. Look at her porch. It needs painting and scrape. You're big enough to do that. You can go help and give back by her helping you. And that's what I did. And I just kept that lesson my whole life, even today.
Yeah. You know, I've seen you do so many talks, and, you know, you're always so gracious with your time and gracious to stay afterwards and talk to people and, you know, sign things and sort of, you know, who was the person that influenced you the most as an adult?
Oh, as an adult, there are just so many. If you ask me as a child, I would say, again, Juan Delgadillo, 10 years old. He became my father figure, teaching me everything, because I never had this father figure to teach me anything like carpentry type skills, get me involved in sports, in music, but the biggest thing, work ethic, and then how to develop character and integrity. And then that went over into my teen years, my coaches, my teachers. and then into the Air Force with my supervisors, eventually to the Highway Patrol, where I did a 42-year career in law enforcement. But again, all of those great supervisors, working peers, etc.
Yeah, yeah. First, thank you again for your service. I know I've told you this before. Thank you for your service, both in the military and both in law enforcement. 42 years in law enforcement.
Yeah, it was a chance career because I was after the service. I was working at Motorola in Phoenix, Arizona. This was during the Atlas missile program, and Motorola was looking for people with top secret clearances, which I had in the military, because a lot of the college graduates, the engineers, couldn't pass, of all things, a drug test. Now this is in the mid '60s when sex, drugs, rock and roll, and hippie bands and everything.
Sure.
And because it was military contracts, they could not. They had to pass a background investigation. They couldn't pass that to get a top secret clearance. Motorola got several of us entry level. I only had a few hours of college I got in during the service, but sent us along with our GI Bill to engineering school. And I ended up in statistical engineering of all things. My math teachers in high school cracked up on that one. Trying to determine the failure rate of certain components of the missile.
Wow.
And great job, more money I ever made in my life. And several of my friends from high school had joined the Arizona Highway Patrol, and just kept saying, Frank, why don't you apply with your military experience, with your engineering background? It'd be a perfect fit. I said, guys, I'm making 1 week what you make in a month. I'm just not going to give up this nice salary I'm making. All of a sudden, my first home I ever got. But I'm a country guy. I didn't like living in the city. Even though the job was great on a whim, I put in an application for the Highway Patrol. And again, because of the drug background of so many people, there was 1,000 applicants for that particular class. Only 50 of us were selected, majority being rejected because they couldn't pass a drug background check. And great career choice. 42 years later, I finally retired. I did only 12 years in uniform with the Highway Patrol as a motorcycle officer, and then got promoted to detective and did the majority of my career in our homicide division. So great career choice.
Yeah. I mean, you have seen a lot in 42 years of law enforcement. I know this after you retired, you actually cracked one of your long-standing cases, right? It was an open case?
Oh, yes. Just before I retired in 2014. And I had a case ongoing for almost 10 years, trying to find, and it was a homicide where a woman murdered her husband, and just trying to find her. And finally, with the help of Indiana State Police, went back there and did, in fact, locate her and convicted her. Finally got her extradited. And she's now got life in prison. I think she's got how much time left? Well, the rest of her life, actually. But that was my closing career case, and I'm happy that it went out on. Any police officer feels that way, on that positive note.
Sure. When you had that little boy, that very first little boy that wanted to be was a fan of chips and everything else, and then at Secret Knock, Larry Wilcox from Chips surprised you. And that was a really special moment. Can you tell me what was going through your mind when you saw that?
Well, and for people that may not know about Chips, a very popular TV show in the 70s about the adventures of two California Highway Patrol motorcycle officers, Ponch and John, played by Larry Wilcox and Eric Estrada. And the sergeant in that series was Robert Pine, who in fact is in our movie.
Love that.
But very popular with the kids. And that's what led to me meeting this little boy that inspired me to start the Make-A-Wish Foundation. If it hadn't been for Chips, this would have never happened. And I was explaining that to Greg one time, and he said, have you ever met Larry Wilcox? In fact, it was on stage. And I said, no. And he said, well, turn around. And he had brought in Larry Wilcox. And that was like 7 years or 8 years ago. And Larry and I have remained very close friends since then. But I wanted to tell him the impact. Again, if it wasn't for the series Chips, him, Eric Estrada, Robert Pine, there would never been a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Mm-hmm. That's that's a powerful story, and I remember when Larry was there and surprised you, and that was a cool moment. You know, there's a lot of people sitting out there going, okay, well, that's great. You know, he founded a Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is, how many wishes have been granted now by Make-A-Wish?
Well, right now we're in our 40th year right now, and we've gone over just a little of 500,000 wishes worldwide, all because of one little boy. And we started out of Phoenix, Arizona. I was the first president and CEO, and that was in 1980. By 1983, we started developing chapters all across the United States, and also our first international chapters. And now, like I say, 40 years later, since inception, we are in 46 countries on 5 continents and 60, I think it is 62 chapters in the United States. And like I said, over 500,000 wishes granted, all because of one little boy.
Wow. There's a lot of charities out there. There are a lot of charities out there. What do you think was the key to the success of Make-A-Wish Foundation and the longevity of it?
Well, initially the key was there's something that nobody had ever heard of. I mean, there was nothing like this. It was very unique. It involved the children. And we started this, unfortunately, was for children with terminal illnesses. These children were not going to survive. That's why we wanted them to have their wish before they passed away. And the national board about now 25 years ago changed the mission to children with life-threatening illnesses, because we've got about a 70% survival rate now. Like I like to say, through the grace of God, modern medicine, more and more children are surviving, and it enables them to reach more children. But the big key, I think the big key personally for me, like I said, as the first president and CEO, but I had to make a career choice after a while. I couldn't be a police officer. I couldn't run the foundation. And I learned in college, always surround yourself with people smarter than you. I went to our board, because I never took a salary with Make-A-Wish.
Right.
Even later on in years, I paid my own expenses. But I said, we need to hire somebody smarter. We need to hire somebody in the nonprofit world that has that background, that has that great big Rolodex. And that's the best decision we ever made. Get the professional in that. And then over the years, I think there's been 10 other CEOs which have done nothing but made it grow and grow and grow. And they've stuck with our original mission. They've stuck with our charter. There's been no changes since the charter our board initially put together.
Well, that right there is a feat in itself. If you know anything about growing a company and scaling anything, whether it's mission oriented or not, to be able to stay the same course and the same mission and expand is powerful. So again, that says a lot about the leadership. It says a lot about the infrastructure of the organization from the very beginning. But Frank, this little boy changed your life, didn't he?
Well, yes, definitely. And you may have, I don't know if did the trailer show up on the screen at all?
Yeah.
Okay. You may have seen in there where I had this accident. I was on a 10-man motorcycle squad, tac squad. We worked the whole state of Arizona. And one of the, usually in 2-man teams, like ships all over the state. But in certain areas, big problem areas, we had our whole 10-man unit there. This is in 1978, a little town called Parker, Arizona. Population 2,000, which grew to 85,000 because of spring break, all the college kids. Parker is on the Arizona-California border, separated by the Colorado River. So you've got all the boaters. You've got, again, this is still the days of sex, drugs, rock and roll. So many fatal accidents, so many homicide, rapes, thefts, everything else. In a high-speed chase with a drunk driver, 85 miles an hour in 25 zone. Another drunk driver pulled right in front of me. I couldn't do what we call a break and escape maneuver and hit it broadside at 85. I was told the crash was spectacular. I was pronounced dead at the scene. My partner tried to remind me he couldn't do it. He called in the code 963A. Officer killed in the line of duty. We're talking, so obviously there's another part of the story.
Right. That was not the end.
And as we show in the movie, it was an off-duty emergency room nurse that stopped by, said, let me try and revive him. Our partner says he's dead, I can't. Luckily, she didn't listen to him. In the next 4 minutes, performed CPR and brought me back to life. And it was during this time I was going through a separation of marriage. My marriage is falling apart, a lot of problems, issues. I was having PTSD, my issues myself, because I was on a fatal team also, investigated nothing but the most horrific fatal accidents because of the training we had. And it took about 6 months to recover from that accident. Traumatic brain injury, skull fracture, broken bones, missing skin. But towards the end of my counseling, I had to go through the counseling to make sure my head was clear to go back to work. In therapy, the counselor said, you know, God spared you for a reason, and now it's up to you to find that reason. And between 78 and 80, again, a lot of, I want to leave the patrol. No, I don't. Motorola asked me to come back. Am I going to go? Like I said, the marriage fell apart. And then in 1980, I was introduced to this little boy that wanted to be a police officer. His wish was to be a police officer, motorcycle officer. And that little boy just all of a sudden changed my whole life. And I hope in the movie we related, well, I know we did, by the actor that played me. I know we related that message.
Yeah, that was a powerful message. And you know, when you think back about, you know, what we go through in life, right? I mean, you at that time, you had no idea that you were going to have found a worldwide nonprofit organization. You had no idea that, you know, you were going to get 2 doctorates and that you were going to get the Ellis Island Award. And you know, none of that was in play. None of that was even considered. So had to have been something that just compelled you to do it no matter what, even when the obstacles were against you, even when the funds weren't coming in, even what compelled you to keep going?
Well, the children. And like you say, there's so many times that I wanted to just give up. I was working 20-hour shifts. I was doing my regular shift. And then as a police officer, we are fortunate to get a lot of off-duty jobs, especially personal security, and which pays very well. And I needed money to fund into the foundation. So I'm working all these jobs, tired as can be. I can't do this anymore. And then to answer your question, our coordinator that was at the hospital, Frank, I just found another child. We have another child that only has a few months to live. We need to get this wish done. So that was always the incentive, the children. And it was never about me. You said I've got all these awards. I never even strive for that. But all of a sudden, the notoriety came almost 30 years later. That my name got out there.
It was one of those overnight successes, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, Frank, all of that's well-deserved. I mean, you know, when you look at the impact that it's made, and, you know, it's so funny because I'll meet people every now and then, and they'll be like, oh, you know, I heard you know Frank Shankwitz, and I'll be like, yeah. I'm like, well, I was a Make-A-Wish child, or my son was a Make-A-Wish child. It's amazing the expansive impact that it's had. When you think about the impact that Make-A-Wish has had, what's the prize that you take away from that? What's the thing that means the most to you?
Well, that we have, again, served so many children, and not just the children, but the families. And you've seen at the speaking events, and I'm not boasting, usually my meet and greet is an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm the best speaker in the world, but I was Forbes #1 speaker in 2016. Got to brag a little on that.
There you go.
But the meet and greet, so many of them are in fact aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers of a wish child that want to come up and just talk about the wish. But especially to me, the most rewarding thing ever on these is when a person comes up and says, introduces himself, I am a wish child.
Yeah.
That gets me so emotionally. But what I do is I look very closely in her eyes, trained as a police officer, what was your wish? And I watch, because everyone, I can see them relive that moment, no matter what it might be. And that's so special to me.
Yeah. Is there one wish that stands out that when somebody told you that was granted, is there one that stands out above them all?
Oh, no, there's not. There's, you know, out of 500,000 wishes. And I was a wish granter also for years and years, up until 2 years ago, helping put together in Arizona wishes for children. But probably the one that we're going to say was the first official wish. Again, a 7-year-old boy in a very poor area of Phoenix, Arizona, terminal leukemia, and his wish was, I want to be a fireman. I want to riding a hot air balloon. I want to go to Disneyland. And a child only gets one wish. And I was interviewing this little boy. I was his wish granter. In fact, I borrowed a highway patrol car. I couldn't go on my motorcycle. And his mother didn't want me to go in the house. A very poor area. She said, we have dirt floors. We don't even have inside plumbing. I said, wait a minute. I was raised that way. But I put this little boy nicknamed Bopsy inside a patrol car and asked him what his wishes were. And he got a kick out of my name because it's Frank and his name is Frank. And both our names are Pancho in Spanish. And that's been my nickname my whole life. Wow. But what would you like? And he said, I want to be a fireman. And I said, wait a minute, you're sitting in a highway patrol car and you want to be a fireman? And I got a little giggle out of him. And he says, no, I want to ride in a hot air balloon. And I thought, well, that's easy. I have friends that have a hot air balloon. They said, no, and I want to go to Disneyland. Now, we had never thought about a out-of-state travel wish. But I said, okay, let me go talk to the board. And I went and said, I'm going to break the charter right now as the first president and CEO. I want your approval to break the charter. We're going to grant all 3 wishes because we're going to get so much press out of this. And this is before the days of internet. This is strictly print and TV and so on. The hot air balloon was easy. I had the friends, the press all over Arizona picked it up. The firemen, Phoenix Fire came together. My girlfriend at the time, Kitty, her brother was a Phoenix fireman. He helped put this whole thing together. That was all over. Disney was a different story. We kept calling Disney. We're the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They'd never heard of us. We asked for free admission. We had this little sick boy, only a few weeks to live. Can he get in front of the lines? And we found out later Disney gets these bogus requests all the time. And they kept literally hanging up on us. The secretary says, I don't know what to do. I said, let me call. I called over to Disney. Who is this? Instead of saying Frank Shankwitz, president and CEO of Make-A-Wish Foundation, I said, this is Officer Frank Shankwitz, Arizona Highway Patrol. You can almost see the secretary kind of setting up a little straight. And she said, I need to talk to your director of public relations. She said, what is this about? I said, I have a warrant for one of your people. Well, guess who I got to talk to right away? Got the gentleman on the phone. The first thing I said is, I just lied to you. I said, here's my name, here's my badge number, here's my supervisor's name. All you have to do is call and I will be terminated immediately. Well, he listened to my story, thank God. Guess I ended up 42 years as a police officer. But that opened the door for Disney, and that got us so much press, so much TV coverage. That started the whole relationship with Disney. That boosted the Make-A-Wish Foundation all over the United States. And all because of one little lie. But you have to qualify that lie a lot of times. So do that right away if you're going to lie. But Bopsy was the catalyst for the whole thing to get us nationwide attention, especially with Disney. Now, 40 years later, millions and millions and millions of dollars sponsorship into Make-A-Wish.
It's crazy. It's so impressive. When you think about other people that want to start, I talk to people all the time. I want to start a charity. I want to start a nonprofit. And I know you've been instrumental in helping people start their nonprofit. But you've got people that want to be able to, they want to make a bigger difference than they're making right now. What's the first step they need to consider?
Well, number one, is it about them or it is about the mission? And I do a lot of consulting work on nonprofit. In fact, right now I sit on 6 different boards around the United States that I've helped develop or helped put together or helped get promotionally. But a lot of consulting work, when I say, I want to do this, how much salary can I take? I'm done talking to you. Because again, it's about them, it's not about the mission.
Yeah.
But anybody that's started a nonprofit, and there's approximately 1.2 nonprofits in the United States right now. Think about that. Everybody wants to, I'm going to do a cure for cancer. Well, there's probably 200,000 that are find a cure for cancer. Nothing's happening. What if there was just one, which was like the American Cancer Society as an example, or for heart disease or for leukemias and so on. But find something unique and it's going to be the mission. The unique things right now are obviously with children, with your homeless and with your veterans. Those are the big 3 king things right now that, in fact, I'm associated with on these boards.
Wow. How many boards are you on right now?
I'm on 6 right now.
6.
Yeah, nationwide,
Love it.
and they're all of them are somewhat new and they're rocking out. I mean, just all of a sudden big interest now because of what's going on with the coronavirus. Nonprofits all over, the major ones, the little ones, are taking a big financial hit, and it's understandably. I mean, so many people out of jobs, they don't know when the next check's coming. It's hard to donate.
So Make-A-Wish is.
Go ahead.
Make-A-Wish has never been experienced what we've experienced with coronavirus, but we've there's been ups and downs in the economy. There's been recessions and everything else. What has been the key to getting a nonprofit through a crisis time? Maybe not this magnitude, but in the past, recessions, things like that.
Just exposure, your marketing. Just let people know you're there. Make-A-Wish right now, you just mentioned, they've shut down anything relating with the children. They can't do wishes. They can't interact with the children because obviously these children are high risk anyhow.
Sure.
Donations have really come down, even the corporate, but they're getting the message out every day. This is who we are. Remember us. Remember us. When things get better, we've got all these kids we want to take care of. And the same with these other nonprofits I'm associated with right now, for the homeless, for the children, for police officers, foster children. Again, the money is drying up right now, but we're staying out there. Let them know we're still there.
Right. We're going to open it up for questions, but I just want to share a couple things. One is that night you came and spent the night at the house, and then we went to breakfast the next morning at Cappy's, and that was one of the highlights of my definitely one of the highlights of my life, was just spending that time with you and away from the noise, away from everything. And I remember in the middle of the night when we first got back, and you just said, "Can I just go sit out on the porch?" And you just went out, sat out on the porch, and I just remember thinking, here's somebody who is just about changing lives, and yet he is the very epitome of humble and simple and no pretense at all. And I just one of the greatest things I've appreciated about you.
Well, and you didn't mention where the house was. right in Newport Beach, right on the ocean, as we're sitting on a little patio looking at the waves coming in. Beautiful night, that sea breezes, little whiskey, smoking a cigar. I mean, what could be better?
It was nice. It was, but I've always appreciated your influence, not only in the world but in my life personally, and I just, you and Kitty are just A plus people, and I've just really valued that in my life.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned Kitty, my wife Kitty, and they always say behind every guy is a woman pushing them along or leading the way, and she did both. And that's why I dedicated my book to her. She found me when I needed to be found.
Yeah, I love that. Found me when I needed to be found. Wow.
And cool. The book, Bob, I just said the book. Now, here's the book, Wish Man. This is what inspired the movie Wish Man, and both are available on Amazon, or you can contact me for autographed copies.
Perfect. So on Amazon, do we? Is there any particular link that you want them to go to, or just Amazon anywhere?
Well, Amazon, but for autograph copy, you can go to my website, wishman1, the number 1.com, wishman1.com, or just on Facebook. Contact me, Facebook message.
Awesome. So let's open this up for some people. Whoever wants to ask a question or share a comment or share a thought, you can do that now. Just unmute your phone or unmute your microphone. Turn yourself on camera if you'd like. Let's see. Flo says you need a sequel movie with that story now, Frank.
Well, actually, just yesterday, I've been contacted by several producers just talking about that, or they even want to talk about a new TV series we had come up with recently. Either one called After the Wish, What Happened to Wish Children.
And, that'd be great.
Yeah. But just a documentary also about the making of Wishman. That's the one that really, they would like to see all those scenes, how it was all put together, the outtakes and so on.
Yeah.
It was
I would watch it, no doubt.
we're so fortunate with the movie because Netflix, it started in January. It is exploding so much in Netflix. We just got extended for 3 more years on Netflix. And I feel so humble on this. I can't think of a word. I get about 50 messages every day from around the world. One yesterday from Johannesburg, South Africa. About
what made you get into law enforcement, Frank?
This movie made. And I try and take the time to answer each one. If people are taking the time to write to me, I feel almost obligated to try and write back and just to thank you.
Right. Wow. I love that. And it just says a lot about who you are and how you demonstrate things. So, Flo, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Hey,
Go
Frank.
behind the booth.
Great to see you.
You see it behind the booth.
So what's next for Frank? What's next?
Well, I've got so much going on. I just mentioned I've just been approached by several producers about maybe another movie, a TV series coming up. My speaking engagements are just skyrocketing. Friday the 13th of all days, the bad luck day, right? I had 6 speaking engagements canceled. They're already scheduled, but 4 have already been rescheduled going into August, October, and just received 3 more. So I'm almost booked for the next year. In fact, I'm going in now, the 2021 on speaking engagements. But the big thing too is these other nonprofits that I'm involved with. We're really rocking out, trying to get these really going. So when this whole thing is over, we can really push and get these going.
Awesome. Looking forward to a sequel then.
Oh, me too. It'd be fun.
And it's been great. If you guys have not had a chance to see Frank speak in person, he shares so many great nuggets and stories. You guys do not want to miss that opportunity. So, Glenn, do you have a question? Glenn? Okay, Glenn, we need to mute your line. Okay, who else has a question? Any thoughts down here? Wishman.com on Facebook Messenger. Yep, okay.
I see Sherry. I see Sherry waving.
Hey, Sherry. There's Sherry. Sherry, you have a question?
Well, not a question, just a comment. I don't want to start crying because you know what a pivotal role you played in my own life. And I just want to say how grateful I am for the message that you've given me. We've talked about my own near-death experience and your near-death experience. And you said to me once, don't make it about yourself, make it about the mission, that we're all heroes. And I'm so grateful that you are a testimonial on my current book, and just grateful for what you've shown me as an example of who to be in myself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sherry. It's so much fun. We've met about, what, maybe 6 years ago or so?
Well, we met the first time about 8 years ago at Secret Knock.
Yes.
And then we ended up getting together again in Arizona several times with Jeff Fagan and with Greg, of course. Yeah. And we talked about both of our near-death experiences and what that brought to both of us.
And what's so much fun on Facebook is we can stay friends on Facebook. We follow what's going on. You're riding now on the back of a motorcycle, which is kind of fun, right? And then Sherry does have a book coming out, and I was very flattered that she asked me to write a testimonial for the book. Yeah. And I can't wait. I can't wait for my copy, Sherry.
Of course, signed copy, of course.
Awesome.
Thank you
That's
so
awesome.
Much, Frank. I'm very.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Well, guys, unless somebody has a question, raise your hand now. Otherwise, we're going to let everyone get back to their lives and let Frank get on with his getting ready for the storm that's coming through town. And I appreciate you guys.
Well, let's go this way. Come on.
You know, Frank, again, I can't say it enough. Thank you for everything you've done for the world, for humanity, and for the influence that you've had on my life. And I just really love and appreciate you and Kitty, and give her a hug for me, and look forward to coming through there and seeing you, or seeing you wherever we're going to do. We're going to do another live in Phoenix as soon as this thing is over. So we'll make sure that you're on that invite list and come down and have dinner with us.
I'll be looking forward to that, Bob. And again, thank you for the invite. It's always so much fun.
Love it, love it. So guys, get out there, make an impact. Think about what he said. Think about the ways that you can make an impact, and anyone can be a hero. And it doesn't have to boil down to how much money you give away or the movies or anything else. But really, bottom line is being that person that really not only wants to make a difference, but is willing to take the action to do so. And it might just be that one little thing where you just reach out to that one little boy and changes their life, your life, and humanity for the rest of history. So thank you, Frank. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, so long.
All right.